Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for King Thor Issue 2. And this is another great issue, bringing closure to King Thor's whole storyline. So, we start off and we see that Gore is pretty much talking about pretty much why he's back. I mean, like, hey, I was actually absorbed in the Necro Sword, and I was cool. I was tranquil. Why would I be back? And it's like, Loki. He needed me for something. Now, granted, he at first thinks that Loki wanted him brought forth to kill Thor. And we see that Thor's getting mucked up as Gore's pretty much talking about what's been going on. And then pretty much puts him on this kind of like thing that keeps him stationary. And then Loki's like, fine, here, just take the rock. He's like, I already did. And then pretty much has Loki pretty much on the same kind of contraption. And he's like, all right, I kind of know your brother's pretty much a frightened child on the inside, but what about you, God of Thunder? And then he unleashes this blast of lightning from his mouth, which is awesome. And then he's trying to get Loki to help him, and Loki, of course, doesn't. He's like, I don't have hope. I don't care about this. He's. But, of course, Thor calls for Mjolnir, who comes out of the Necro messed up sun, but it stops at Asgard to bring a sword. Now, that is an important bit that it at least called attention to in the comics, so we'll have to see how that kind of pans out. But we'll have to see. Nothing has really been discussed yet about why that sword's kind of important. Of course, Thor's like, listen, you help me, or I'm going to come back, and I'm not going to share your version to brother killing. We then stop and we see the granddaughters kind of dealing. Well, we see that Gore is pretty much like he got knocked into orbit, and he's like pretty much calling forth all the Necro Sword. We see the granddaughters are dealing with the Necro Ravens, but they're kind of going back and they're discussing amongst themselves what they need to do. They have to go back to the beginning, and of course it started here with a prayer. I think they're going back to Gore's world and are probably going to be looking for the other entity that was fighting the entity that had the Necro Sword. That's just a guess that I've got, since we're going in kind of cycles and everything. And of course, this is getting towards the end of one cycle to restart again. So we see that Thor's pretty much going in, Hambo, being like, I'm going to take your ass out, Gore. But he has pretty much gotten the Necro Sword into the Annihilablade form, and it's like, holy shit! And they're pretty much knocking back and forth in this galaxy that's got like 3 suns. It's like, holy shit. It's pretty epic Titanic proportions, as it's pretty much being flung everywhere, blades taking out planets. We see that Loki is still on Midgard, and we see that like the people that Thor created have started to pray and everything. Loki's pretty much saying that it's worth nothing and anything like that, but they're praying to Thor and all that. And we're like, we'll have to see how that kind of works, because Thor is definitely an example of a god that doesn't really fit into Gore's whole issue, because Thor tries his damnedest to help everyone that he can. Can he help everyone? No, but that doesn't stop him from trying. And that's one of his greatest strengths. That's why he'll always be able to muster that last bit no matter what. As we see, as he's pretty much trying to figure out what's going on, pretty much trying to weaponize like supernovas, and he's like, oh, rebuild from the ashes, I kind of like that. And then Gore's pretty much laying out his new kind of plan, saying that he's going to murder all of the creatures that Thor has created, and then he's of course going to kill Thor, and then he's going to create his own race or species or new kind of life that won't look to the gods for salvation. But that's the thing. Whenever you do create life, it's always kind of going to get to the point where it's like, why was I created? It's always that search to find knowledge and to figure out why and what that meaning is. And if Gore does create life like that, it's going to have to not have free will. And we'll have to see if that kind of like does anything, because it'll just become the same sham that he had the first time around. Because we saw he was still kind of discombobulated when he was making the Annihilablade kind of thing, being like, hey, the family I never had, since he's kind of pretty much waking up from being dead. But as he's pretty much getting to the point of getting Thor taken down, Loki pops up and says, "No, you kind of got it out of the order. I'm going to kill my brother." And he's like, "Oh." Gore cuts off one of his arms and pretty much figures out the whole thing was that Loki was going to kill Thor. And then Loki didn't have the strength to off himself and wanted to use Gore to do that for him. It's like, damn, it's kind of dark and really kind of sucks for Loki. It's like, he's never really one to kind of talk about his feelings. But that's like, damn, that sucks to be in that kind of frame of mind. And then he gouges out Loki's eyes as Thor is able to kind of throw Gore off for a little bit. He's like, "I knew you'd come back for me, brother." And he's like, "Listen, we got to do this." He's like, "What? We've got 2 arms between us and 1 eye." He's like, "Your eye and a hammer and your brains. So let's do this." And pretty much saying that we got this. But of course, Gore comes back and pretty much says, "As you gods walk upon the water, I am beyond that. I'm not a god. I'm a force of nature." It's like, he's kind of looking like it. And pretty much drowns them in the necro sword and pretty much telling them to drown. And Thor, of course, is telling Loki, "Listen, our mother never gave up hope for you. Said that, like, if we're together, you'll save us all." And Loki's pretty much trying to let it take him down. But, of course, Thor's reaching out to him, as we see towards the last panel, and their hands do come together. Even though it goes to black, we'll be like, okay, we'll have to see kind of how this works out. Because always in this kind of duality kind of thing is, if there's a necro sword, there would have to be something that would have been its equal of life and light. Probably that other entity, and probably whatever it had, that, of course, Thor's granddaughters are probably going to be going for and finding to be able to combat and restart the cycle anew. So I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool, epic. I love the artwork and how all of the action is just so well done and really grips you in. Seeing how Gore uses the Necrosword to, like, injure Thor and Loki, and how you could pretty much feel the impact of Mjolnir every time Thor brings it to bear on Gore. It's just like, yes, this is fucking awesome, and I can't wait to see where this goes next. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.